I almost lost 400 grand on a real estate deal because I didn't understand this simple strategy on mobile home parks. In today's episode, I'm gonna break down that deal, how it worked, the deal I'm currently under contract, and I'm gonna show you how you can implement this strategy to buy existing trailer parks and turn them for large profits. Check it out. I know you're gonna get value from this episode. I almost lost $400,000 by passing on this deal because I didn't understand the strategy that they were going to implement. This mobile home park was brought to me a couple years back in a small, middle of nowhere town called Chester, South Carolina. This was 32 lots. There were 22 homes in there. All the homes were owned by the park, so they just had rental tenants in there. And then the other 10, there was just lots. There was no homes there. The group was trying to buy it. They had it under contract for $180,000. They wanted an additional $20,000 to improve the roads. And so they were coming to me asking if I would invest with them, co-invest $200,000 into this deal because they had to buy it cash. They couldn't take a loan on it or get a loan on it. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, this is kind of a small town. I don't really, it's a lot of cash. I can't get any leverage on it. Is this really a deal that I want to do? But here was the catch. What they were going to do was they were going to fill up the park. They were going to buy 10 more trailers. They're going to put up their money to do that. Buy 10 more trailers, fill them up, and then sell all of the homes on owner finance contracts. So for example, they would sell a home for maybe $15,000 or $20,000 and do monthly payments, and the person was going to own the home. A portion of that payment would be dedicated to the lot rent, and a portion would be dedicated to the mobile home. Now, why does it matter? I mean, if you're collecting $800 a month, how does it really matter how you split it up? But the way that banks appraise these deals and look at these deals is they want a loan on the land and they want a loan on the lot rent. They don't really want a loan on the trailer too much because that's a depreciating asset. Over time, that trailer is pretty much worth nothing. Plus, to manage a trailer or a mobile home as a rental property is very cost intensive. They're not built the same way as single family homes. They're not the same quality. Things are constantly breaking. And I say this from firsthand experience because I owned a small trailer park with all rentals, and our overhead costs to maintain those trailers was a lot. It never really cash flowed well. It wasn't a great deal. So I'm a little gun shy going into this deal, but when I figure out, oh, this is their model, I decide, well, maybe I can make a deal work. So how I structured this is I said, I'll give you the $200,000, but I want 9% on my 200 grand while it's in the money, in the deal. And you can pay me every quarter, pay me like a quarterly payment of $4,500. And I want 50% of the equity in the deal, the upside of the deal. So you guys are putting in some cash, you're doing some work, I'm putting in a little bit more cash, but that's the deal I want if you want to do a deal. And they agreed. They said, yes, that works. One problem, I didn't have $200,000 at the time. This was, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And so I decided to go to my investor base and ask them, hey, would you like to invest in this deal? I can get you 9% on the money while it's in the deal, and I can give you 20% of the upside equity of the deal, so it's probably gonna be a pretty good deal. I mean, baseline is 9% plus upside, and there's no debt on the property. We have the cash in the deal. What do you think? And I got an investor to say yes and agree to those terms. So we closed the deal. These guys came up with 150 grand to buy used trailers. They would go to mobile home dealers and buy, trade-ins. They would find them on Craigslist and Facebook and whatever. They'd buy these things for $6,000 or $7,000. They'd move them into the park, and they filled it up, 10 trailers at the cost of about 15 grand a trailer to get them in the park, set up with air conditioning, plumbing, heating and air, all that stuff. And so once it was done, they sold those homes owner finance on a monthly payment. Then they went to the 22 tenants that were there and said, listen, we're not going to really do rentals anymore. Would you like to own your home? And a large majority of the tenants said, yeah, I mean, we would love to own our home. What's the payment going to be? And they kept the payments roughly the same. So what they were paying in rent before, now they're paying in an owner finance payment. And after, 7, 8, 9 years, they own the trailer and they don't have to pay rent anymore, other than they got to pay the lot rent for the mobile home park. And so they increased the lot rent from, I think it was like $75, $100 to like $250 a month, but they kept everyone's payments the same because now they're selling the home's owner finance to them. Once they had all 32 homes sold in this fashion, now they can take it to the market and they can say, look, we've got these, they're all lot rent only, all the tenants own their own homes, and we can sell you just the land, or we can sell you the land and the owner finance notes as a package. And that's what they ended up doing. And they got a buyer to come in and pay $750,000. And if you added up 200 grand plus 150, we were all into this park for about 350 grand. And so it was a large change in valuation from this park. And we were able to make, 400 grand. So if you think about the math, 50-50, we split the 400 grand. So my side got 200 grand. Of that, I've got to give my investor 80,000, 20% total of the deal, and I get 30% total of the deal. So I made about 120 grand on the deal, just for connecting the money with the deal and putting it all together. And so the reason, why would someone pay $750,000 when we were all into it for $350,000? And the answer lies, real estate investors, they're kind of like you. They want passive income. And we did all the work. It's a lot of work to find trailers, to move them in, to set them up. It's a lot of work to get everybody off of leases and sell the homes owner finance and structure all the payments that way. But once that's all done, now it's a very, very attractive cash income stream for that person. And it's worth $750,000. Plus, he can take that park to a bank and say, look, they've got 32 lots paying $250 a month. Most of the profit is coming from that. We don't have any overhead to maintain these as rentals. All the trailers are owned by the tenants. And the bank looks at that and says, oh yeah, we will loan against the lots only. And so uncovering that strategy of how to handle mobile home parks, it really unlocked a whole new world to me. And so when a deal room guy of mine came to me with another opportunity, I said, hey, let's go for it. So what he did was he found a park. It's up in Illinois, and it's 34 lots, so similar size park. But the cool thing about it is it already has 34 trailers in it. So all the lots are already filled. Now, there's only 18 tenants there, and of those 18 tenants, I'm not sure who's paying or who's not paying, but it's kind of distressed, right? There's 18 paying tenants and there's 16 empty trailers that probably need renovation, excuse me, and fixing up. So we can go in there and we can do basically the same thing, except with a little bit or quite a bit less work and less capital, because we don't have to move in, new trailers. All the lots are filled up. So here's our plan. We've got it under contract for $380,000, which is a really good basis for 34 lots and 34 trailers. Now, the tenants right now are paying anywhere from $550 to $800 a month in rent. They're just renting the trailers. They don't own the trailers. That's their all-inclusive payment for their lot rent and to rent the trailer. So our plan now is we're going to go in there with a couple $100,000, $220,000 of cash, and rehab those 16 trailers, or maybe more if we have to kick people out. But we've got a $220,000 rehab budget to fix up these trailers. We're going to fix up the vacants, and then we're going to sell them owner finance. And the monthly payment on that is going to be $800. Out of that $800, $400 is going to go to lot rent, and $400 is going to go to their loan payment. So within 7, 8, 9 years, they're going to have their trailer paid off, but they still have their trailer in our park, so they still got to pay lot rent. So we can count on that $400 a month coming in. Then we'll go to the tenants that are there, the 18 renters, say, look, would you like to stay? If you'd like to stay, you need to buy your home. If you don't want to buy your home, is there another home you want to buy, or do you want to leave? So if they stay and they sign, like, yes, I'm going to buy this out over 7, 8 years, which most people want to do because they don't want to pay rent for the rest of their life. And they're sick of their landlord right now. Their landlord's really not taking care of the property. He's not fixing anything anyways. So they're probably better off owning the trailer and taking, ownership in that. Because once it's paid off, I mean, they could move it to a different park. They could go buy an acre of land and go put the trailer on that land. Whatever they want to do with it, it's their trailer. So when we do that, I want to run through some of the numbers because remember, we're in it for $380 purchase price and $220 rehab. So our costs to do this is about $600,000. What do we think this mobile home park is going to be worth once it's stabilized? Well, if you take 34 lots and you multiply that by $800, right? That's about $27,000 a month. If everybody paid and you had no expenses, you'd make about $27,000 a month. But not everybody's going to pay. So we need to factor in 10% vacancy for people defaulting on their loans, having to kick them out, finding a new tenant. Nobody pays. I own enough apartments to tell you that not everybody pays on time every month. 100% occupancy with 100% payment is almost impossible. So we factor that in. We also have some expenses with the mobile home park. We still have to pay our taxes. We still have to pay our insurance. We're still going to have some maintenance there, but it's going to be far less than if we were holding all these as rentals. If we're holding them all as rentals, our expense ratio would probably be like 50%. With just the taxes, the insurance, it's going to be about 30%. So we're going to reduce the expenses quite a bit. So by doing that, we're going to net about $16,000 a month after we have vacancy, delinquency, and we pay our expenses. Now here's where it gets really cool. We're then further diluting that number. Remember, because only $400 or $500 is going towards lot rent, $400 is going towards the payment. So we're going to cut that in half. So let's just really go conservative and cut that number in half. $16,320 is about $8,000 a month, or $8,150. Multiply that by 12 months. That gives you about $98,000 in NOI over the course of the year, and that's just for lot rent, right? That's just $400 for lot rent. That's not counting any payments for the trailers. If we take that to a bank or we take that to a seller and we sell that property at a 10 cap, which is a 10% capitalization rate, that park is worth $1 million in just the dirt. Plus, we've got another $8,000 a month income stream from the owner finance notes coming in for the next 7-8 years. So we can keep those notes if we want to, or we can sell those notes to the person who buys the park. Hopefully they'll buy the notes too, and we can sell them at a really, really good discount. I mean, if you think $100,000 a year times 7 years, I mean, that's $700,000. So we're going to try and get $200,000 or $300,000 out of him to give us that money up front in the hopes that he's going to collect $600,000 or $700,000 over the next 7 years. That's a good deal for him. That's a good deal for us. So our target price on this park is about $1.2 million, which really, when you think about the math, is like a 15% cap rate for the next buyer to buy something that's fully set up, stabilized, cash flowing, and he doesn't have to manage the rentals. He's only the bank for these people who are buying the trailers from him. And so in this manner, we're able to take $600,000 and turn it into $1.2 million over the course of, 6 months, 8 months. That's our target timeline, maybe less. I don't want to get too aggressive with it, but that's the plan to essentially double the capital. And the way I've structured this deal is I've got a partner there who is very well connected. He owns about 200 rental properties in the town already. I did the 24 house portfolio flip with him, if you heard me talk about that on other episodes. But he's doing the deal. We're putting up the cash, right? We're putting up the cash at 15% interest. He's not going to have it for long, just 6 months or so. And then he's getting 70% of the upside and I'm making 30% of the upside. So it's similar to the deal that I did in Chester, South Carolina, where I'm leveraging other people's money or some of my own money in this case, and I'm still able to get an interest rate on my money, and I'm able to get an upside on the deal of a 30% take. Whereas he gets to use none of his own money. He has to do the work. He's got to get the leases and get the owner finance contract signed and do the rehabs of the trailers. But he has crews and he's got a presence in that town. That's what he does. And he stands to make, 70% of 600 grand, which is, let's see what that is. 600 times 0.7, $420,000 over the next 6 months. That's the plan. I've executed it once before. I'm going to try to execute it now. So what does this mean to you? If you're sitting there listening, These deals are literally everywhere. I just got a message yesterday. A guy, he has a 67 lot trailer park. It has, I think, five units that need to be ripped out and destroyed. They're not worth anything. And then there's another like 15 vacant spots. So he's willing to sell that for, $15,000 a lot. And we can come in there, clean it up, move in new homes. Probably a basis be about $1.3 million, $1.4 million. But once stabilized, 67 homes paying $800-900 a month with $400 to $500 going towards lot rent, that is now a $2.5 to $3 million park, right? And so there's a huge value add in converting the type of payment here because it makes your deal more bankable. The more bankable your deal is, the more somebody can pay for it because they don't have to come up with $2-3 million in cash. They can go get a loan because the bank looks at, oh, we're just lending on the dirt. Here's the lot rent. It's coming in. The dirt's there to stay. These depreciating trailers will give you a little bit of credit for it, but not much. Whereas most parks that are all park-owned rentals, the bank doesn't really know how to quantify the income on that, and so they don't give you the credit for that. So if you're looking at buying a mobile home park, consider this strategy of signing owner finance contracts and having a large portion of that payment go towards your lot rent. It helps the tenants to get ownership in their own place. Tenant-owned homes are typically nicer than rental-owned parks anyways because they have pride of ownership, and you're able to put a deal together that the banks like better so they can give better financing so that your end buyer can pay you more, or you can keep it. You can refinance out your $600,000. Like we could refinance our $600,000, that hard money loan, get it off the books, put something in place at 7-8%, and we could cash flow that deal and we could hang on to it for the next 10 years if we wanted to. So there's a lot of options with mobile home parks. This is one of the things that we dig into deeply into the deal room. If you're looking to close your first multifamily deal, then you need to go to mfmim.com, check out the sales funnel, check out what we offer. You can book a call with me or my partner, Yaden, and we can get into that. Guys, just 6 months ago, I was on the phone with Jack. Jack was thinking about getting into the deal room. He'd been in real estate 10 years ago. He'd had a bad partnership. He hadn't really done anything in real estate in 10 years, but he wanted to get back into the game. He joined the deal room. He plugged in. He went through the course. He sat in on the Zoom calls, started to submit deals, started to generate leads, participated in our small group accountability meetings, and he found a deal. It was a 7-unit that he was able to get under contract just yesterday for $1.1 million, and he's got a buyer lined up to take it off his plate within 30 days at $1.6 million, netting him a $500,000 profit. This is because he took action. This is because he made the little leap to jump into the deal room, to connect with people, to get back into the game, to start making offers. And we coached him all the way through that. I was on the phone with him back and forth, helping him decide like, hey, this is what you can offer the seller. These are the terms you can do. And it turned into a pretty good windfall. I mean, $500,000 created out of thin air within 6 months of being in the deal room. So if you want to do deals like that and you want to do a deal this year, hit me up. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a message, or go to mfmim.com and check out the deal room. All right, guys, have a great week. Talk to you soon. Peace.